So in this next video, I'm going to show you how you can use the Solidify modifier. So what the Solidify modifier does is it basically takes anything that's two-dimensional, in the case of this plane, and goes ahead and makes it three-dimensional, gives it some thickness. So it's great for things like taking a wall and giving it wall thickness, taking something like a wine glass or a cup or a bottle and giving it some thickness so it actually has so you can see it show up and have shine and things of that nature. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over into edit mode. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this plane up. So I'm going to do R, Y, 90 degrees. Okay, so this wall is now standing upright, and real simply I'm going to come over here to the crescent wrench icon, which is the modifier panel, add modifier, and down here at the bottom you'll see solidify. And when I do that, you'll now notice that it's actually catching a specular highlight, a little shine up there. And if I look down here, there's a whole bunch of settings down here, but really the only ones that we have to worry about is right here where it says thickness. And you can go ahead and you can click on these little arrows here, and that will do a very small amount at a time. My preference is to put my mouse pointer right here in the middle, left click, and then drag to the right or drag to the left, and then you can go ahead and add thickness there. You have to keep in mind though that this object isn't actually this thick right now. It doesn't become this thick until you actually hit apply. So the cool thing right now is that even though it looks like a cube and it doesn't look any different than a cube, what I can do now is I can use some of the other tools to modify this. So for instance, if I do a loop cut and I do Control R and I say I'm going to go ahead and do a vertical cut like this, and I click and then I place the loop cut right here, I can now take that loop cut, and if I were to go ahead, keep in mind I just cut the plane. It's not really a cube, it doesn't actually have real thickness. So if I take it and I go ahead and I do something like that, you'll see that of course I can go ahead and get a pretty cool angular design. If I was doing architectural rendering, this could be the beginnings of a wall. And again, it won't be actually thick until I hit apply. So again, I could do another loop cut here. Maybe I'll make it 2 loop cuts. Click, click. And all I have to do is select these 2 vertices here. Maybe this time I'll go into top view. And I'll go ahead and G, grab it. And I can move it any way I want. I don't want to go too crazy. And there we go. Okay. One last time, I'll flip into this time wireframe view. I'll go ahead and use box select and grab those 2 vertices. And again, remember I'm in wireframe mode, so I'm actually selecting those 2. It looks like to the eye I only have 1 selected, but remember I'm in top view, so I'm actually going down the selection and selecting the bottom one there. And the other way that you can know that I am selecting 2 vertices is if you come up here and you look in the top center, it says verts 2 of 10, so I have 2 selected here. And again, I can click and drag these, and there it is there. If I hop out of edit mode, if I'm pretty happy with it, I hit apply, and now all the cuts are actually there. And there we go. Okay, I'm going to pause the video for a second and come back with another, what the heck, I'll just do it right here, it's pretty quick. Okay, so I've got another plane, and this time I want to do something a little bit more exciting here. And so what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to go ahead and use the circle. So the circle is not an actual mesh. It has vertices and it has edges but no faces. So I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to go into top view, and I'm going to turn off perspective, and I'll deselect all. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and box select, so B. I'm going to select the bottom half of vertices, X to delete, and there we go. Okay, so now what I can do is, there's a variety of things I can do. I'm just going to go ahead and leave these like this. So I'm going to press A to select all and rotate my view around so you can see. And I'm now going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to extrude them on the Z-axis going up. There we go. And you can see that I've got this nice mathematical curve here. Tab out of edit mode, add the Solidify modifier, increase the thickness here, and you can see I can just get some really nice organic shapes that normally would take me a very long time to model. If you're not happy with seeing those faces right there, you could, on your toolbar over here, I press T to make that come up. On your toolbar, you could come here to the top tab called Tools, and come over here where it says Shading and choose Smooth. Sometimes the smoothing does try to over smooth, and I think in this case that's what's happening, and so it looks like it's melting a little bit. There are ways around that, but for this project you really don't need to worry about that too much right now. Move the light back so it's not quite so crazy. Okay, so anytime you can go ahead and take vertices and extrude them to make a what's called a profile shape, you can go ahead and add some thickness to them so that way they have they become a solid object. And remember, it's not real until you hit apply, and then when you tab into edit mode, everything's real. Okay, I'll show you one more example, and then we'll be done with Solidify. Okay, in this third and final example, I'm going to go ahead and take a plane. I'm going to tab into edit mode, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch over to wireframe mode just so you can see this a little bit better. So let me get my 3D cursor out of the way. I'm going to select all of my 4 vertices, and I'm going to merge them to the center, so that way the 4 become 1. So with all of my vertices selected, I'm going to press Option M, and I'm going to say Merge, and I'm going to choose at center. So merge at center. And it looks like they're completely gone, and that's because of this orange dot here just showing the center of your object. So it is a little covered up right now, but that will change in just a moment. I'm going to flip over to top view, so numpad 7, and I'm going to turn off perspective. That's numpad 5. Okay. I'm going to turn on my screen casting display. I should have done that earlier. There we go. Okay, so I've got the single vertex still selected. If I didn't have it selected, if I press A and didn't have it selected, it is still down there, so you just have to right click on it, or you can maybe do B for box select, and there it is. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude that single vertex. So if I press E and extrude, you'll see that I can go ahead and I can pretty much do anything I want. So the more extrusions I do, the curvier this object will be, and the smoother it will be. But all I'm doing is extrude and then moving it a little bit at a time. So I can go ahead and make this sort of this S-curve shape. Obviously, if I'm not happy with the curve, I can just select a vertex, G, grab it, and I can be all set. And there we go. Now you can't see it in cycles because it doesn't have any faces yet, so it can't be rendered. Now, if I wanted to, let's say I felt like this object didn't have enough vertices and it wasn't curved enough, I could go ahead and say, okay, well, I want another vertex right here, basically right in this area here. So what could I do? I could try the knife tool that we just learned the other day. So I'll go ahead and try that. I'll try K for knife, and I'll go ahead and try knifing it right here, and you can see, nope, didn't work. And that's because there's no mesh there to actually cut, so it doesn't really work. If this happens, don't remodel. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to select the two vertices that you want to cut in between. So I'm going to loop cut, or loop select, sorry. I'm going to loop select. Let me actually just try a loop cut. I don't think it'll work, but if I try a loop cut, oh yeah, look at that. Okay, so I did a loop cut, and it just shows a little pink dot, so you don't see a cut line, but there you are. So loop cut does work, and you can see it is actually part of the mesh. So loop cut will, in fact, work on a flat series of edges and vertices, so that's kind of cool. That didn't used to work. So again, it's Control R, put your mouse pointer in between them, and just left click a couple times, and there you are. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now and take this, and I'm going to extrude it on the Z-axis a little way, bring it back to wireframe. There you go, you can see it's there. Tab out of edit mode, add in the Solidify Modifier, give it a color so you guys can see better, and increase the thickness. And there it is. There you go. So you can go ahead and do that. Let's try to get a little extra fancy now, and I'm going to go ahead and add in a cube. This cube is huge. And I'm going to go ahead and try now to combine. I'm going to try to have the cube be a cutting object, and I'm going to have it try to cut through the curved wall. So I'm going to go back into top view, and I'm going to rotate the cube so it's actually oriented a little bit better towards the wall there. And I'll go down a little bit. Okay, so the goal is I want to be able to just basically cut a hole right through this object here. So let me see if I can do that without applying any modifiers. So I'm going to take the go ahead and take the curved wall here, and I'm going to go ahead and add a modifier, Boolean. Set the Boolean up to be the cube for the cutting object, and set it up to be a difference. And now I'm going to take the cube object and hide it, and you can see, ta-da, look at that, perfectly cut out window, and there you go. That's pretty much it. Now, if the Boolean did not work, what I would probably do is I would apply the thickness modifier, and then I would go ahead and apply the Boolean modifier just to make sure Blender knew that the walls were actually really thick permanently, and then it could go ahead and do the Boolean cut there. Okay, so I hope this gives you a couple ideas, and happy blending.